Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, mahaba, moni wanji, namaste, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jed Lee, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast. We are coming to you from the beautiful neighborhood of Reedville in the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so delighted and so very honored that you join us in our mission to help all families grow closer through reading. Please be sure to tell all of your family and friends about the show. Please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, wherever you find your podcast. Join us right now from the great state of Texas. Our guest is here today to celebrate an absolutely gorgeous picture book. It's called Can You See Me? And C is spelled S-E-A, a children's guide to camouflage in the ocean. Please welcome to the show the author and illustrator, Jing Graber. Hey, Jing, how are you?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm delighted to have you on. First off, I tell people all the time, I get so many pitches from authors and publicists and publication houses that I can't open most of them. But you came to the show in a little bit different way. I noticed your art and photography on Instagram. And when I discovered that you were the author of this book, I said, I have to have this person on the podcast. So you were one of the few people that I actually reached out to lately to be on the show. And that's because the artwork has made such an impression on me. Can you talk a little bit about the artwork that's in the book?
Of course, I'd love to. So this is primarily done with digital art. I really wanted in this book for the illustrations to be able to speak for themselves. And because this is a book about camouflage in the ocean, you open the book and you see this animal, but it's hidden somewhere. It's camouflaged. And you get to play hide and seek with it. Then you get to flip the page and you get to see the animal in its uncamouflaged state where you can easily see it with some fun facts and everything. And I would say that this form of art and doing it in this way was really so that a younger sibling could pick up this book, a younger sibling who might not be able to read yet, and they could understand the gist of it. Yet an older sibling could also pick up the book and still appreciate the art and love the fun facts. Yeah. So it's more versatile.
Yeah. What was the inspiration for this book?
It was kind of done in a backwards order, actually. I was just brushing my teeth one random night, and I thought of all the puns that you can make with the word see. And then I thought of Can You See Me? And thought, well, that could be about camouflage in the ocean. So in this weird way, the title actually ended up inspiring the entire book.
That's really, I love that. That's really cool. And now I'll be honest with you. You come from the kind of the heart of Texas, the center of Texas. I don't necessarily, and I've only spent a few hours driving through Texas last fall. So I'm not an expert about the state at all, but I know it's a really big place, and I know the part of Texas where you live is you just can't like walk down to the beach and jump in the ocean. You're kind of a long way away from it. I don't necessarily automatically assume that somebody from your part of the world is going to be somebody who's done a ton of scuba diving and snorkeling in the ocean.
So Austin is definitely a landlocked city. But that also meant that the way I learned about the ocean is I grew up on documentaries and especially children's picture books. And my favorite book, Down, 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 really showed me all these animals through collages and took you into the deeper levels of the sea. And since I saw such amazing art, I was just always so curious about these alien-looking creatures I'd never seen before. So when we were finally able to take a family vacation, I was able to hold a sea urchin and see all of these amazing things. I just could not stop loving it.
I love that you're that your love of the ocean came so organically, and that your family was able to encourage that and help it grow.
They've always been so supportive of my love of the ocean, as well as of my just dreams to go and study it one day. I don't know how they feel about me wanting to go and swim with sharks, but they've always they've always been there to show me more.
Well, I've actually had the opportunity to interview a photographer who was out in the ocean, and he had photographed sharks, but usually from within a cage, shark cage, very safely. And then one day he just happened to be out in the ocean photographing some other wildlife, and looked up, and there was a great white coming towards him. And it was fortunate that evidently the shark wasn't hungry at that time, because he swam by him, but he had captured this amazing photograph of the shark, where he just was there and took it, and there was nothing between the shark and his camera.
That is incredible. I mean, I think like the one shark that I was actually able to get a good photo of, it was tiny. It was like less than a foot long. It was the cutest little thing, and I was ankle deep, and I was just sticking my camera down there and like shooting. It was a very different shark experience, but so cute.
Very cool. Now, people listening to this probably don't realize that you are a fairly young person yourself. You're a senior in high school. What kind of gave you the confidence to think that, hey, I have this idea and I can actually turn it into a published book?
I think that, I've always been an artist throughout my entire life, essentially. And I think at one point I was just like, I've seen all these children's picture books. I've been inspired by these children's picture books. I know that there's probably some adult magic that comes into play at some point, but I think I could just start with the illustrations and see what happens. And so the artist within me was really my guide in this entire process. And it's pretty much led me here.
So talk a little bit about that. I've interviewed many author illustrators. They're traditional illustrators, and oftentimes ask them what comes first, the story or the illustrations, and it varies depending on the artist, and it also varies depending on the projects that they're working on. When you're saying that the art really kind of drove this, was it that there was this one creature that you were really inspired to draw that kind of started the ball rolling?
I would say I've really always been crazy about all animals. So I was just like whipping out these illustrations during a summer. I was just so excited. Each one I started, I just wanted to move on to the next one. And as far as the different media types went, the words versus the illustrations, I feel like it was through my high school career, my skills for art and for writing were really reaching their pinnacle at about that time in my junior year. That was when I was really learning more about writing, more about science, all of that. And I feel like they started coming together just at the right time to write this book.
It's again, I'm looking at the cover art, and there's this beautiful sea turtle. And it looks like he might be wanting to take a bite out of a jellyfish leg. But it's so realistic. I mean, my first thought is, oh, she took a picture of this and then digitized that. Is that the process, or did you just start from scratch with these illustrations?
So for most of the illustrations, I did start from scratch. But the front cover in particular has a special story. It was actually this summer, a year after I did most of the other illustrations, that I was able to go to the Virgin Islands for the first time, and that was the first time I had swum with turtles. And that was also the first time I picked up an underwater camera. And I was just shooting these photos of these turtles, and like seeing the turtle in 3D in real life, that was what gave me the best understanding of turtle anatomy that I could have. And I actually used some of my photography as a reference image for the front cover. So it's very special to me.
Yeah, I bet. What a great memory. I haven't swum with a sea turtle. We have had a sea turtle swim alongside us in Puerto Rico while we were out on a boat. It was very cool.
Wow.
Yeah. So you were mentioning earlier on in the show that you think that this is a book that kids of different ages could enjoy. A younger sibling can pick it up and just enjoy the pictures and go on a treasure hunt and try to find the different animals as they're camouflaged, while an older sibling might enjoy learning all the different facts. I'm imagining they could come together and share their interest. One of the things that we encourage families to do, especially with their younger kids, is to take a picture walk before you read the story, before you read the facts, is just to go through a picture book and look at the pictures and imagine what the story might be, imagine what the author is trying to tell. And I'm thinking that Can You See Me would be a really fun book to do that with.
For sure. I mean, one of the fun things about being the author is just I see these parents coming to me and they're saying like, my daughter or my son, they keep telling me like, this isn't just a sea turtle, it's a hawksbill sea turtle. And just the kids just being like, hey mom, look at this. Like, or can you believe this is small enough to fit in the palm of my hand? And stuff like that. They just love whenever kids see something that they like or enjoy, they always love to share it with people, to share knowledge with people. And that's really special, especially within a family.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, I think it's really empowering when a kid gets a chance to educate their parents, when a kid gets a chance to tell the person that is most important in their life, their mom, their dad, their caretaker, something. And I think that there's just a moment in a kid's life that can really make a difference and help the kid really build a lot of confidence.
I think kids love big words, especially. I think if they have like just something that they feel like they can impress people with, like that, it builds confidence. It's just, as a science lover my entire life, I just remember reading books like that and telling my parents about them.
Now, what was the most challenging creature for you to draw in camouflage?
Oh goodness. So I would say that the ghost pipefish were pretty hard. They're essentially these green little fish that they kind of have the snout of a seahorse, but the rest of them looks like a leaf. So it's this fine line between drawing a leaf and drawing an actual fish. And the camouflage itself was kind of confusing even for me as the illustrator. So definitely these animals are definitely like to the extreme of what can be viewed as an animal. Like their camouflage, the way that they've been equipped to survive in their environment is just phenomenal.
And I think that that's a wonderful conversation to have with our kids. Is, you know, what a great way to introduce kids to science and to nature, but through these animals that they can fall in love with and really enjoy learning about.
And I think it's also important for them to realize that there are things to see everywhere. I mean, in Austin, Texas, I think it's very easy for me especially and for lots of other people to think like, there's nothing cool here, there's no ocean here, it's just flat. But like even walking up to my school from the parking lot, I see screech owls hiding in the woods. I see green anole lizards like basking in the sun, and it's really everywhere. It's just how you look at it.
Jing, I understand that in addition to Can You See Me, you've also created a nature guide. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Of course. So I would always see those waterproof nature guide pamphlets in the stores that would just have like the local wildlife on them. And sometimes I would be at my school and I would see animals I'd never even seen in those pamphlets. And so at one point I was just like, maybe I should make something where it is specific to my school and has all of these animals that are at my school. And so I just contacted a photographer. He said I could use his images, and I just put this together.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I'm really curious. I was speaking to you beforehand. I asked you what's up for next year, and you told me that there are a number of options and decisions that you have to make, which is wonderful. I'm really curious. What are your goals for the future? Are you looking to become an oceanographer, a full-time children's author, an artist, all of the above? What are you thinking of?
The answer to that is yes.
Yes, I like it.
I'm going to go study marine biology in college. And after that, I want to do scientific research, but in the field, on a boat, in the ocean. And on top of that, I want to still be an underwater photographer, to still be an artist, and to still be an author.
Well, I wish you luck. I have a feeling that you're going to be very successful at whatever it is you decide to go for.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So this brings me up to, we're speaking mostly to parents out here. I'm sure the parents are listening and they're thinking, wow, Jing's family must be incredibly proud of her. What an amazing young woman. What advice would you give to parents who are out there thinking, I hope that my kid grows up to be just as confident as Jing is?
I would say just let your kids explore their environment. Let your kids just be out there, just be tinkering with things, be catching lizards like me, be just observing what's around them. And I think you'll find that all people are curious by nature, and education is providing them with really the tools to pursue that passion, that curiosity.
Awesome.
And yeah.
Well, I bet people are curious as where they can go to find out more about Can You See Me, a children's guide to camouflage in the ocean, and also find out more about you.
Of course. So my website is jinggraber.com, and you can also find Can You See Me on Amazon.
Awesome. And before you go, do you have, I know you fell in love with the sea turtle. Do you have a favorite underwater animal?
Well, actually, okay, they say that photographers always see the cool stuff when they don't have their camera with them. And when I didn't have my camera with me, I saw a spotted eagle ray, which was just ginormous and graceful and had this beautiful pattern on it, and I've never seen anything like it.
Wow. Well, we'll have to keep our eyes out for that. And is there a next book in the works?
I'm currently brainstorming, but I've got a pretty nice summer coming up that should be pretty event-free, so maybe I'll think of something then.
That'll be great. Well, we've had a great time speaking to the author and illustrator of Can You See Me, a children's guide to camouflage in the ocean. Our guest has been Jing Graber. Jing, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Reading with Your Kids podcast, and we hope that you'll join us for the next exciting episode of the show. To make sure you don't miss a moment of the show, please be sure to subscribe to the show on the iHeartRadio app, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher Radio, wherever you get your podcasts. Big thanks going out to my team, Fatima Khan, Rory Grady, Jordan Saley, Will Cheever, Cassandra Masonet, Stephanie Davila. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all the support she gives me. Most of all, we all want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today, and as always, thank you so very much for taking the time to make the world a better place by reading with your kids. I'll be looking for you in the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.